So Audio Modern have just released a brand new version of Playbeat, their drum sequencer, and I've had quite a bit of hands-on experience with this plugin because I've been creating the tutorial videos for it, which you can see on their YouTube channel. But in this video, I thought I'd talk you through some of my favorite features within the new plugin, how I've been using it within my tracks, and also details of a free Dirty Secretz Sample Pack for Playbeat. More details on that in a bit. So this is the brand new version of Playbeat. Now, if you haven't seen Playbeat before, it is basically a drum sequencer, but with a whole load of random features chucked in. Like most of the Audio Modern plugins, there's all these different things for generating MIDI, and it really can create some really interesting stuff. Now, for the most part, this is this kind of sequencer down the bottom here with 8 channels of audio. You can load a sample into each channel and then sequence it on the right. For example, I've got a kick here. Let's just put in a 4/4 pattern. And then I've got a clap on this channel. I can put a clap in there. And let's put a hat in as well. Dead simple so far. Now on channel 4 here, I've got a closed hat, and I'm going to use some of the generative features at the top here to create some interesting stuff. So we can generate different steps, density, pitch, flam, volume, and pan. I'm just going to start off with the steps at the moment. I'm going to put some random steps in there for this hi-hat. So you can see there it's put in 3 different steps. That's because it's using these kind of controls at the top here to do some random stuff. So I've got it on the steps tab here. I want to do it between a minimum of say 4 steps and a maximum of say 10 steps. Basically what that's going to do is it's going to generate steps between 4 and 10. So if I click this little button here, that's now generated, well, how many we've got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I can keep clicking that random button to get different steps until I get something I like. Now it's sounding very static at the moment, so I'm going to put some shuffle in there. Now I can actually control the shuffle for each individual layer. I can click through here and you can see that that shuffle amount changes, or I can go to all layers and actually just adjust the shuffle to everything. So you can see in there, we got this kind of closed hat here, and I'm actually going to solo it for now and go through some of the interesting stuff we got within here. So we got the density. This is really interesting because it can take every step and divide it into sub steps. So at the moment we got 1 step for every step, but I can actually just divide this by 2 or by 3 or by 4, and it creates this kind of flammy kind of multiple note kind of sound. To be honest, for my kind of house music, it doesn't really kind of work, but definitely if you're making things like trap and things like that, it's a very kind of familiar kind of sound. You can also adjust the pitch for every single step here as well. Again, you can use the random controls to kind of change this up. So for example, we can do random notes between F2 and G2. Let's randomize that. And you can see I can actually adjust every single one within here and make it higher or lower if I want to. Not quite sure about that, so I'm going to set it back to fixed. And then we got Flam, which is kind of similar to density, but actually instead of dividing a step into sub-steps, what it does is it just creates 1 single repeat, and you set the millisecond delay on that repeat, which is really kind of adds some really interesting effects. This could be really cool for like maybe using on a snare. This might work quite nicely. And then we got 2 different tabs that I use all the time. We've got volume and pan. So we can actually randomize the volume up of every single step, which is really good when you're creating loads of kind of 16th notes and you want them to vary up a little bit. So what I can do again is actually set a maximum of, say, we've got a maximum of 127. That's the maximum volume. If I take that down to maybe a maximum of 80 and then a minimum of about 40, click the random button, and what it do is it do a different random volume setting for every single step. Just makes it a little bit more natural, and we can do the same thing with panning as well, so we can pan a little bit to the left and a little bit to the right, so a maximum of 20 to the left and maybe a maximum of 20 to the right. Just keeps those variations going. One thing I do love within here is the new mixer section, which allows you to mix each individual channel and mix the volumes of each one, which is really handy. Now, as before, you've actually got this big random button at the top here, which will randomize everything. And it can sound like a mess sometimes. If you're looking for something a bit more experimental, then that might work. I'm going to undo that. But there are actually two new little buttons at the top here. We have a remix button and we have a latch button. The remix button, rather than actually randomizing everything, it uses an algorithm to just slightly edit your pattern, which can create some really interesting results. So it's not quite as extreme as the big random button, it's just created a slightly different version. Now what I can do is I'm going to undo that for a second. I'm actually going to lock the kick and the clap, keep them the same, and I'm going to hit the remix button again. It can create some really interesting extra versions if you're looking for those kind of variations in bars. And then the latch button on the right hand side here does exactly the same, but only when you hold it down, and when you let go of it, it goes back to what it was before, which is really cool for creating fills. I'm definitely going to be using that a lot going forwards because it's just a really good way, really easy way to create fills in your drums. There's also another really great feature that's actually buried within the settings section. It's called linear group, and this kind of works like choke groups do within a drum sequencer. So maybe, for example, on most drum sequences, you'll find that the open hi-hat and the closed hi-hat won't play on the same step. They kind of stop each other. And that's basically what this linear group does. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to enable this for track 3 and track 4, which is my open hi-hat and my closed hi-hat. And now when I click generate on the steps for these two, I'm just going to lock the kick and the clap for now. If I click generate on the steps, it will make sure that when it generates those steps, there won't be two that overlap from track 3 and track 4. It's a really great feature if you're trying to recreate those old school drum machine kind of characteristics. So that's just really a few of the features within Playbeat version 3. There's a whole load more within there. It's a really feature packed plugin. And if you want to see more about that, have a look at the videos that I did for Audio Modern on their YouTube channel. But what I really want to show you is kind of how I use it within my tracks. And one of my favorite ways is actually using it to generate organic kind of percussion. So I've got a brand new instance of Playbeat version 3. And actually I've got the original one in the background as well, just providing the kick, the clap and the hat. But I want to use this new instance to kind of show you how you can load some organic percussion in there and use the random features to kind of create some random percussion patterns. It works really well for that. So I'm going to jump over to Splice, and I've got a few bongo samples within here that I'm going to use. So I've now got a bongo sample in each one of these channels. I'm going to set it to all because what I'm going to do is I'm going to generate some steps now randomly and just kind of come up with that bongo kind of pattern. So I'm going to go to the steps tab here. I only really want maybe two steps per sample maybe. So let's maybe say about between 2 and 3 steps for every single sample. And then I'm going to hit random under the steps. I'm going to give a bit of shuffle as well. Now you can see within here there's a few that's overlapping, so I'm going to go back into the settings. I'm going to use that linear group setting. I'm going to turn all of these on. Let's try that again. And let's make it a little bit more natural. I'm going to randomize the volumes as well from a minimum of maybe 50-ish up to about 100 maybe. Click random on that. And I'm going to do the same to the pan as well, just to gently pan it from left to right, make it a little bit more interesting. And then I can just start playing around with the steps generation till I find something I like. I also think to make this fit in with my beat, I'm going to put a bit of LFO tool on there. So I'm going to sidechain that bongo pattern a little bit, put a little bit of sidechain on there. And then what I can do is adjust the volumes of each individual channel to make them sit nicely. And then the beauty of that is you can just adjust the shuffle to make it kind of fit in with your groove. And of course you can mute any one of these channels if you're feeling it's not kind of working, if you want something a little bit more stripped back. And that's just one example of how I use Playbeat within my tracks. It's really great for creating those organic percussion loops. Because of all the random parameters, you can really create something quite realistic and natural. Right, now on to the Dirty Secretz sample pack that's included with Playbeat. So on previous versions of Playbeat, you were able to save your patterns as a preset and save them on your hard drive for later. But now you can actually save and create your own packs. And packs are basically collections of presets and samples all packaged up into one single file that you can download from the web, you can distribute to your friends, you can even sell it online if you wanted to. If you click on the Browse More Packs button, it will take you to the Audio Modern website where you'll be able to download a whole load of different packs for Playbeat. Once you've downloaded the pack, you can click on Import Pack and import it from your hard drive. And this will give you a whole load of different kits and samples to play with. And one of the packs that will be available very, very soon is my own Dirty Secretz pack. This is a kind of small mini pack, including 3 different kits within here and 9 different patterns. It really is just a small taster pack of samples. I'll be doing a much bigger pack in the future, but if you want to get hold of this pack for free, then just open up your copy of Playbeat and click on the Browse More Pack button. By the time this video goes live, you'll be able to download this pack for free from the Audio Modern website. And if you haven't got Playbeat yet, then again, head along to the Audio Modern website. You can download the trial from there and give it a try out. You can also head over to their YouTube channel and see all the overview videos that I've done on this plugin. I've gone into huge depth as to every single feature, so head over to their channel and check those out on there. Right now, I'm gonna bring it back to the funk.